Hello and welcome to the FinTech Finance Virtual Arena. I'm your host, Doug McKenzie, and on today's session, joining me, I have Jason Wilson-Brown from TSB, and we're going to be finding out all about their new marketplace. So Jason, thank you for joining us here today on the Virtual Arena. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I've got to ask, really, before we dive in, could you give our audience a bit of background to yourself and maybe your journey to TSB, please, and what you do there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I've done a whole variety of things over my career. So I spent 4 years working for the Commonwealth Bank in Australia, where we did a whole bunch of stuff around helping customers improve their financial well-being digitally. I then decided that I was going to give up the sun and seaside to come back to the UK. And I did a bit working for Starling Bank, helping them launch their business accounts. And then that's been the journey to TSB. And TSB is a fantastic organisation. So there's a couple of things I do here. So the first thing is I head up our open banking team. Standing up all of our open banking APIs, supporting the 90 plus TPPs who access our ecosystem. And then looking more forward how we can build out some really interesting open banking propositions and partnerships. And then the second thing is the pure partnerships level, which is, in a world where customers want more and more from their banks, sort of how are we leveraging the smart ideas outside of TSB to sort of bring those through to our customers. And that's really what me and my partnerships team are focused on doing.
Incredible. Well, brilliant. There's a lot to unpack there, and I think we're really going to be diving into that notion of partnerships, as you were mentioning. And I think, if there's an elephant in the room that I think we need to discuss, and hopefully won't focus on it for too long, but there's been several external factors that have probably changed the way that partnerships in the industry happen. Before, you always imagine bringing in a fintech over a period of 2 years to kind of hash out a partnership. But I feel like maybe COVID-19 and Brexit, even for some partners, has maybe disrupted that. So have those two external factors maybe underpinned the need for financial institutions to open up their data and connect in vicarious ways? And has that kind of sped up the whole process as well when it comes to partnering with an institution the size of TSB?
Yeah, look, it's a really interesting question. So, has Brexit and coronavirus sort of underpinned the need for banks to partner? I don't think so. I think, financial services and TSB are moving in that direction where we want to work with, the best and brightest companies up and down the country. It sits as a core part of our Do What Matters plan. And I think what COVID in particular has done, I think, has sort of put the rocket fuel underneath it. So, with branches, while still remaining open, being on reduced hours, we've seen a huge migration of customers to our digital services. What that then means is that when the customers are now digitally engaged, they then start to follow through on the next stage of the life cycle. So I register the app, I start using the app, I then move on to open banking, I start sharing my open banking data, I start deciding what those other partnership sort of features and functionalities might be. So we've seen more customers go into the top of the funnel, and off the back of that, the demand has increased. And now, as a bank, we're responding, which is why we've really sort of kicked on with partnerships over the last 12 months.
That's absolutely incredible. And you've looked at it from a very customer-focused angle, and that's something I want to explore more, and I'm sure we will later on in the conversation. But if we were to look from a purely technological standpoint and the infrastructure sitting behind a bank, do you think that it's enabling institutions to circumvent a lot of legacy infrastructure? Before, maybe the traditional way to partnering would have only created more headaches when it comes to dealing with various different infrastructure things and silos. But do you think the new version of partnering actually enables institutions like TSB to circumvent that legacy infrastructure?
So TSB are on a really strong sort of, like most banks in financial services, we're on a really strong cloud transformation platform. So, we've stood up a sort of cloud-based data store, and we stood up our open banking APIs. And having all of that functionality in the cloud actually means it's really easy for us to now sort of stand up premium, private, public APIs where we can start to integrate with some of those partners and do some of those things. I think open banking for me is probably the best way for us to very quickly stand up functionality with customers, and really that's what it was designed for. So if we look at AppTap as the best example, right? So, and actually you talked about the pandemic previously. I think, the pandemic for us, the sort of the social divide in England over the course of, or in the UK over the course of 18 months, sort of widened. So you had a whole bunch of customers who, they've been lucky, they didn't get on furlough, they've been working, and actually their needs changed, which is why, we had to stand up a partnership with Wealthify, because people were saving more, and actually therefore we needed to give them more and more opportunity to save. But there was also a whole bunch of customers where actually they were financially finding life a little bit tougher, and therefore as TSB what we need to do was help them find opportunities to save money, and therefore we stood up the subscription management partnership with AppTap, where, to your technical point, they could connect their accounts using open banking, get that real quick understanding of their money and where they're spending, and actually, what their opportunity to save. And on that subscription management partnership, we've seen on average customers save £170 on their bills, and one customer saved as high as 400. So, for a bank that sort of says, our thing is all around money confidence, the ability for us to say to a customer, hey, we can save you £400 just in sort of 3 to 5 clicks, is a really compelling proposition. And that, like I said to you, was done through open banking. So we were able to get that out quickly. But yeah, to your point, we didn't have to deal with the worry of sort of integrating AppTap into the core platform and everything else that would follow on from that.
Well, that's absolutely tremendous, and it is brilliant to see that it's going to play into that changing role of a bank, that we're seeing it become far more customer focused and offering products that maybe the customer would have previously had to go further afield or actively ask for to gain threshold to those products. I think it's absolutely amazing. Now, you've kind of alluded to it, and I was bringing it up in the preamble, but we've brought you on here today to talk about TSB's new marketplace, and I was wondering if you could share some more information with our audience about it, please.
No, absolutely. So, and I want to be really clear here, right? So TSB, we take a really strong focus on agile, iterative delivery. So what we've delivered over the last week is phase 1 of our marketplace. So currently available via tsb.co.uk, and it will be linked to from the app in the next couple of weeks. We have a one-stop shop where customers can understand all of the, for want of a better word, sort of approved partners that TSB work with, that we can help customers have better financial well-being, better money confidence, just outside of traditional banking products and services. And we are, proud to say, after Starling, we're sort of the first high street bank in the UK to do this. And sort of as an organisation, we really believe, I think it links back to my point earlier, and this is the point that I really emphasise. We recognise as an organisation that the smartest ideas aren't inside TSB, and therefore by having a marketplace, we can bring best-in-class propositions to our customers, both retail and small business. And it's the start of a journey, but we're really excited to sort of build it out and see where it can go.
I think that's so refreshing to hear from an institution of your guys' size. Is you can't create everything in-house. You can't possibly own every great idea. That's not how business works. Now, you've actually split your answer there into two different kind of points, so that you have an offering for your kind of personal banking customers and also your business banking customers. I want to explore that further. So if we could look at what the TSB marketplace can do for personal banking customers first, I'd be really interested to hear about that.
Yeah, so today currently we've got 3 partners live. So customers can look to utilise their savings by using our partnership with Wealthify, and they can put that into an investment ISA, they can put that into a junior ISA, and we've got sort of further extensions of that partnership coming soon. The second thing they can do is they can look to use our partnership with AppTap. So as I've mentioned previously, AppTap is a subscription management software. So people can pick up those forgotten gym memberships or Spotify or Netflix subscriptions. But also crucially, they can compare their broadband, gas and energy providers and look to save some money there. And then third but not least, we've got our sort of, for those who want to look into the future, we've got our partnership with Legal & General around life insurance. And again, it's really important that we help customers not just prepare for today, but then also prepare for the long term as well. And I think I think it's an interesting challenge I have, is that, in terms of a pipeline, we've got sort of more partnerships we want to deliver than people we've got to deliver them. So there's a really exciting sort of backlog of things we want to do in that space. So I would fully expect that list to grow.
I think that's really exciting, and it's kind of coming at the intersectionality of increased customer demand as well as the kind of visibility of these applications, and then suddenly you can offer them just on this one plateau, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I think that's absolutely excellent. Now I've also got to ask then if we can drill down a bit further into your business banking offering as well, because this is a part of banking that maybe this client base has maybe been often maligned in the past due to increased risk, or maybe there's always been something at play. So what does the marketplace offer your business banking customers?
So we've seen a huge growth in our business banking customer base off the back of various government schemes and just a general growth in that product book over the last period of time. So business banking is absolutely critical, and I re-emphasize my point earlier. We've got so many partnerships we want to deliver in business banking, and you've got, and actually, if I just camp on that for a minute, sort of business banking was all about partnerships and ecosystems long before the phrase partnership and ecosystems existed, right? Because you have your accounting platform, you have your expenses platform, you've got your payroll platform, you've got all of these key parts that entrepreneurs and business owners need to run their business. So at the moment we've got sort of in our business marketplace, we've got Square, so the ability for customers to collect payments point of sale. We've got funding options for loans and sort of Enterprise Nation for business support. But again, we've got a massive list of things we want to do in each of these areas, and there are some really genuinely exciting stuff that we want to do in business banking moving forward.
That's absolutely excellent. Now, moving forward as well, I think it's fair to say that the role of a bank has changed. We alluded to it earlier in the conversation, and that's the fact that no longer is a bank just trying to make money, for instance, off payments or reducing risk. It's having to become a very customer-focused operation. Now, do you think that the one-stop shop nature of a banking platform like your TSB marketplace highlights that changing role, and does it mean that there's just room to grow for TSB in this new era of banking?
So I think it pulls up a couple of things, right? So I think first of all, I think Southeast Asia and probably the Far East is a really good example here of sort of where financial services is heading. So if you look at somebody like Grab, they initially started off as a ride-sharing firm, and now all of a sudden they've got this super app that covers financial services, covers groceries, covers taxis. And I'm not saying in a million years that TSB wants to be responsible for delivering your milk, but I do think it's a reflection that as an organisation we are very, very lucky that we are sort of one of our customers' most trusted organisations, and what we want to do is use that trust to say, okay, here are a bunch of third parties, partners that you might necessarily have thought of, might not have thought of, but if you're looking at either A, B, or C, this might be something that as TSB we can help you out on. And I think, if we go a bit more generally again, so TSB's mission is all around, money confidence and financial well-being. And when you sit down and you talk to customers, you say, okay, right, well, what does money confidence and what does financial well-being mean? You can't just view finances in isolation. You have to, they view it to a little bit like a diet plan or a yoga plan. It's, everything needs to be sort of, everything needs to be sort of stable and still for everyone to have sort of real, true money confidence. So if we can look to offer these auxiliary services that are outside of sort of traditional banking products, where we can help customers sort of, sort out the other parts that we don't offer, then I think it's a really sort of strong message for our customers, and also a really strong message for TSB.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, with that in mind, we've been talking about what the changing demands are from customers. There's also the fact that because finance hasn't become like one of those it's always had a subtle ubiquity to it. You don't realize that everything you do is connected to a financial service. And as a result, we are seeing increasing demands in customer experience and what they want from a financial product. So, as we see that develop, is there, you've kind of talked about what apps you're going to be bringing in the future. How flexible is that, and what's the, really the future for the marketplace?
Yeah, so so the good news for our customers is that the target from my boss is to deliver X number of partnerships per quarter. So we can guarantee that we can guarantee the marketplace will be growing, and as I've already iterated, it's a really exciting time for TSB, and it's I think it really reflects that we're really pushing forward as an organisation to do some innovative stuff and deliver some great things for customers. I think the other thing I would add that I think is also important is that there will be some customers where actually the marketplace isn't appropriate for them. And therefore, what can we do as an organisation to make sure we're surfacing up our partnerships in sort of non-digital channels? And one of the things we're currently working on, which is going to go live soon as a very small pilot, is sort of using open banking data to have sort of money confidence conversations in branch, where we can pull through your transaction data. We can sit down and say, okay, Doug, right, this is your complete landscape financially. And then off the back of that, as an example, if we see that you're spending, £120 a month on your TV subscription, then it's an opportunity for us to have a conversation around switching your bills. Or if we can see that you've got a certain level of savings that aren't necessarily on the best interest rate, or could do with being diversified, then there's an opportunity for us to have a conversation about Wealthify. So we've got really exciting plans for the marketplace, but to use a buzzword, the marketplace has got to be sort of multi-channel. So it's around how do we have marketplace conversations in sort of face-to-face and non-digital conversations as well as digital, and that's really important for me as well.
I think that's absolutely outstanding. Honestly, there's been so much talk over the last 10 years of the death of a banker in terms of its role and what they do. But actually, there's still so much that can be done. And by creating these tools, you've reintroduced that human element that maybe people thought was extinct from banking, but is actually, when you hear it like that, absolutely critical to a lot of what people are going to be wanting from a financial service player. Now, with that in mind, I'm really interested to kind of hear how you look to partner with a bank, with another fintech. What's the criteria? Is it their kind of speed to onboarding? Is it their security, their flexibility when it comes to regulation? Or is it really just purely what the customer wants? And how do you drill down and find out what that one is then?
So Doug, I'm going to be honest with you here. I think, in my eyes, this is TSB's competitive advantage. So there's a couple of things I want to camp on here. So the amount of times we speak to fintechs in particular, and they have conversations with other companies, and they'll go in really excited. They'll do a pitch, and the company will say, "Yeah, that's great. Let's do something." And then they send a follow-up email, and they never hear back, and they sort of go on this sort of perennial, what I call sort of perennial first dates cycle. First of all, for us at TSB, we're very, very clear and committed. If we like what we see, then we will take you through our partnership curation framework. And that partnership curation framework really is sort of split into sort of two key phases. So if you're a very young, new startup, what we'll do is we'll put you onto our TSB Labs program. We'll give you access to people inside the organization to shape the growth of your company, get insights and sort of give you an idea of what working with a bank is like. And we did that with 4 companies last year. And then, one of those has now progressed onto a full customer launch. And in that process, we sort of de-risk ourselves by doing a staff pilot. We stop, we measure, we learn. We then do a small customer pilot. We stop, we measure, we learn. So all of the way as an organization, we're learning as we're progressing these partners and who we're going to go live with. And then for the other sort of meatier ones like Wealthify, who are owned by Aviva, it's a case of picking just who is the best in class based on market data, experiences, all of those things. And we have a really sort of strong lens that we take that through. And then it would be wrong for me not to say we also judge it by the customer. So, we look at sort of open banking data. Where are our customers connecting with? Is that insights for us in terms of people? There's an interest there from customers, and therefore we should be partnering with them. So we take a real customer data-driven lens as well to identify actually what are some future partnership opportunities we should be going after.
That's absolutely incredible. And you know what? I think it speaks volume of the strength of the fintech and banking scene in the UK. Been hearing recently a lot of open banking and PSD2 on continental Europe hasn't been adopted as fully as it could be, with some APIs having to be refreshed every half an hour. And meanwhile, TSB and a lot of UK players are looking at partnerships and this changing role of banks and really embracing it to your core. I mean, I can tell from just how excited you are that it's going to be a brilliant project going into the future.
Yeah, but also, and we signed the FinTech Pledge for this reason. You've got to augment the organization so that you're ready for that. Yeah. So we've stood up specific partnership proof of concept agreements. We've stood up specific partnership contracts, because the last thing you want as a FinTech of 4 or 5 people is for a bank of TSB size to dump a 500-page contract on your desk and say, get your lawyers to review that. It's just not going to work, and it's just not going to move forward. So we are literally pivoting our organization to make sure that partnerships is going to be a success for both us, our customers, but then crucially for the partners we're working with. So very, very excited.
I'm very excited to try it, and I really am looking forward as well to seeing the new partnerships in the future. So Jason, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed myself. I hope you have as well.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
And also to our viewers, thank you for watching. Of course, you can catch the rest of the series and much more over at www.fintechf.com, and of course YouTube and LinkedIn, where I will see you in the comments. So once again, Jason, thank you very much, and goodbye.